everyone. This is Sheldon with the Embroidery Buzz from OESD this week, and we're going to talk a little bit about hooping. Kelly and I are going to each show you a different way with different machine model hoops, and I'm going to start off with the Baby Lock Brother hoops, and just to show you a couple little tips on how to make hooping easier, because we know that's a difficult process for some people, and we want to make it as easy as possible and still get nice even tension in your hoop. So one way you can do this is to open up your hoop really wide, much wider than you need to. So I've got quite a bit of play there. And I have just a medium weight cutaway stabilizer here in cotton quilting fabric. And I'm just gonna layer those, and we're gonna put those in the hoop, and it's gonna be very loose. And I call this method the pre-tensioning method. So I'm just gonna put that in there. See, that went in there really easily. And then I'm going to use the tightening screw here and just tighten that up and get it pretty snug. You don't have to really crank on that too much and hurt your hand, because that's the difficult part sometimes. But then that also leaves uneven tension in your hoop. So then just pop that inner hoop back out, and your tightening screw, we're going to give that another half turn, just like that. Now we'll layer everything back up again, and when I go to put this back in the hoop, it's going to be the perfect tension in my hoop. And it goes in a little snug, but still easy enough. Everything's nice and flat and perfectly tensioned in the hoop. So that is my preferred method of hooping. Another way you can accomplish the same thing, let's just pop that back out. If you're working with a thicker project, if you'll just double your project over on itself and get an idea of what that thickness looks like. This works really great if you're working with fabrics that are a little bit thicker, like minky or bath towels. If you don't want to stick that down onto a sticky stabilizer or spray it, you can do this method. Just fold it over and then hold your hoop, and you're going to loosen it until you see this gap in this lower corner that's going to equal roughly the thickness of that doubled over. And then we'll just place that back down, and our inner hoop, and stack that up. And press that in. And again, that's gonna go in there really easily. With this method, you might have to give that a little bit of a turn. So I did about 3/4 of a turn there, but now it's nice and tight in there, and it's even, and there's no puckers.
Awesome. All right, so you saw how Sheldon hoops, and so now I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about how I hoop. So I am a big believer in spraying my stabilizer. So I just lightly, just a little, you don't need to have snow all over it, spray my stabilizer, and then I place my fabric on the stabilizer or my project or whatever I'm working with and smooth it out. To me, it's just much easier when I'm trying to hoop this that it's all one piece instead of trying to hoop multiples, especially if I have 2 layers of stabilizer. And so I'm going to be using the Bernina hoop, and this one has the ratcheting system on it. So when you push these little buttons right here, it opens up. And when you want to close it, you do that. So I'm going to open that up. And so what I want to do is I'm going to take my outer hoop. Let's see, this has a little arrow. I just want to make sure I'm doing it right. And place it on my stabilizer and my fabric. And then I'm going to take this whole thing and I'm going to put it over my hoop. And I always start at the top of my hoop, placing it in, and then I push everything down, okay? And then once you've done that, you can start tightening it. A lot of times when you tighten, you're gonna get a little bit of a bubble right here. So before you get it too tight, I think I probably over-tightened it for what I wanna do. Let me loosen this again. As you start to tighten it, stop. This is similar to what Sheldon did, and remove the outer, the inner hoop. And then just pop it back in like that, and tighten it until you hear that little click, and you can't tighten it anymore. So once you've done that, on the Berninas, you want to just gently countersink that inner hoop so that you just have like a fingernail's width here, and that keeps that plastic from riding on the bed of the machine and causing etching in your machine. And it also tightens that fabric up just a little bit more. So there's some myths that go around a little bit. When I started hooping back in the late 90s, we were told to put that fabric in the hoop and pull it as tight as you can so that, you could pop a quarter off of it. Well, what happens when you do that is the fabric is stretched nice and tight, the embroidery looks really good, but when you release that fabric, take the hoop out, the fabric relaxes. Once it relaxes, you're going to get the dreaded puckers, okay? And so you really want to get used to hooping like we're showing you so that you don't have to pull that fabric in the hoop to get it nice and smooth. You want it to be at rest in the hoop, not tight. And so that will help you if you're getting a lot of puckers in your embroidery. It'll help you with that as well. So that's our little tips for you for hooping, and we will see you next time on Embroidery Buzz.